Hey guys, this is Sports with Dylan. I told you you'd see me again soon. Now with another head coach fired. The Wild fired their head coach, Dean Evason. I am on a roll today. Man, I am pretty impressed with myself, actually. Unlike Frank Reich, I didn't actually predict that Dean Evason would be fired this year or would be a terrible head coach. However, in my NHL power rankings, I did put the Wild significantly lower than most people ranked them because of the fact that I thought their roster was going to have a down year. I don't know why I thought that, I just had a feeling. I had a feeling that their whole offense, honestly, is a bit overrated, except for Kirill Kaprizov, but I suspected that he was going to have a down year this year. Was I right so far? Yes, I was. I thought the defense and goaltending was still going to be a good strength, but it wasn't going to be enough to help carry this roster. Hence why the Wild were fairly low on my power rankings. And guess what? I was right. The Wild just haven't had it the same way this year. Although I was wrong about the goaltending part because both goalies have sucked. They went from arguably the best tandem in the NHL last year with Marc-Andre Fleury and Philip Gustafsson to one of the worst tandems in the NHL, honestly, this year. Marc-Andre Fleury, at least, is 38 years old, so you can't expect him to be a full-on superstar anymore. It's not that shocking that he's starting to come back down to earth. 38 years old is quite a bit. But Philip Gustafsson is a surprise. After last year's breakout, he's just having a slump this year. He's just come back all the way down to earth. Last year, he was one of the best goalies in the league. And you saw that if you saw my goalie rankings, which I highly recommend. If you haven't seen, you go and watch right now. But this year, he just hasn't had it. That entire Wild team has not had it. Which means that the head coach gets the blame and the head coach gets fired. Crazy that it's, November 27th, and we're already 2 NHL head coaches. Technically 3, actually, because Mike Babcock stepped down before the season even starts. So technically 3 coaches are interns right now because 3 coaches have already left their teams. The other one being Jay Woodcroft in Edmonton, who I also talked about in a recent video, which I highly recommend you go and check out. Like I said, I'm not surprised by Dean Evason's firing. It had to come based on how badly the Wild have been doing lately and the fact that their expectations were quite a bit higher. They have a good roster and they should be performing better, so this comes as no surprise. John Hynes will be replacing Dean Evason as the head coach of the Minnesota Wild for now. Now, John Hynes is a very good coach. He was the coach of the Predators for the longest time, where they went on an incredible run of making the playoffs for quite a few years straight, and they always played extremely well. Sadly, that did come to an end, and I don't blame John Hynes for the Predators not making the playoffs last year. In fact, I thought the Predators did a good job based on the age of the roster. So, honestly, I think he did a pretty good job. I was sad to see him get fired in Nashville. Although, sometimes a coaching change is just what's necessary. Although, Nashville hasn't done much better this year. So, it's tough to say. They did get a lot of changes throughout the offseason, so maybe that's what's not working out. There's so much we can talk about. But this is not a video about Nashville. This is a video about Minnesota. What I will say is John Hynes is a very, very good and well-known coach across the NHL. Unlike Chris Knobloch, who I was unimpressed with that hiring. I quite like this John Hynes hiring, and I am excited to see what he can do with this Minnesota Wild roster. I still don't think they'll make the playoffs. I still don't think they quite have it this year, because a lot needs to come from the players. It's kind of like the Canucks last year, although the Canucks got their coaching change way later on. I will give the Wild credit for that. They changed quickly, so they do easily have time to make the playoffs. I just don't think they will quite get there, but I do think we will see quite an improvement, and they'll be back next year. Don't worry. But we'll have to see what happens. For now, Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys again soon.